Hey, what's up guys? It's Artbook Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist journey video. So today we're going to be talking about the grind, okay? So art is a long and hard journey, and the reason for that is at the end of the day it's a grind, okay? It is a, continuous like going back to the work again and again and again. It is the job of the artisan to reapproach the canvas again and again and again, right? And hoping to improve, okay? And the grind can get really, really difficult sometimes, okay? And it's not always easy to just stick to the grind and not view it as just anything besides the grind, okay? But yeah, we'll talk about how to deal with it. We'll talk about how, like, the texture of the grind, and maybe some ways to make you feel better about it, and to maybe kind of view the grind differently, right? And help you get to the spot where you want to be, or at least get you along the track of where you want to be, right? But that's what we talk about today. Before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Princeton Patreon if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, and join the Discord. And with that, let's get into it. So early during a artist's development, okay, you won't look at it as a grind. You'll look at it as, like, usually when you're a child, you'll be drawing and it's just like kind of for the fun of it, right? It's just kind of for the enjoyment of it, right? And like that's really, really nice. It informs the way you feel about the art later in life, okay? Because you want to keep as much as you can the kind of childlike view of art, okay? And of course, like, it could be more informed now, you know what I mean? But you want to try to keep that like childlike enjoyment, you know what I mean? Where it's like it's just satisfying in a way that gives you this kind of bliss, okay? Now, when the grind comes in, okay, that's when you're a little bit more advanced, okay? But you're not necessarily where you want to be, okay? And then it's all just work, okay? And like, art takes a long time, okay? Unfortunately, that is the case. But like at the same time, like, that's the reason why it's worth doing, okay? Because it's difficult, because it takes a long time, because there is a tediousness to it, there is a grind to it. And when you're walking on the journey, it's not always going to be easy, okay? And the thing is, like, the grind itself is not so bad, okay? Because like, like, we do it, like, this is what we're good at, we're used to it, okay? Like, you can almost I wouldn't say autopilot, right? But you can, it's like you're riding a bike and the ins and out bites. It's like second nature, right? But what makes the grind difficult are the external factors, okay? So of course you might have internal factors where you're like, there's like the self-doubt, maybe your piece is not going the way it wants, and like honestly, the internal factors really can stress you out and like give you like a block, right? And like can make you look at your work in a different way that maybe you didn't look at it like that, okay? And that's okay, you know what I mean? That's just part of the process. It's part of the journey. The whole part of the part of the journey is to help you smooth over those rough spots, okay, within yourself and within your artwork, okay? It's like, it's like symbiotic, where you'll look at your artwork and you'll see that it's improving, and like, okay, like now it's finally getting somewhere where I want it to be, okay? And it'll feel like, within your soul that you're like there was this like rough spot and you just, got maybe a little bit of sandpaper and was like, and like, of course it was like coarse at first, it was rough and it hurt, but after a while you start getting this smooth, beautiful polish on it, and you start to feel better. You start to feel like you've improved. You start to feel like within yourself that you are improving internally as well, okay? However, external factors, man, external factors, there are things that are outside of you that you can't control. And life is a messy thing. Life can be difficult, okay, to say the least, okay? And like, sometimes it could be hard to separate the external and the internal, and like the external can affect the internal, and then it becomes like a double whammy on you. Okay, so like you were already stressed about, you know, like maybe let's say that you're stressed about bills or something, right? And then you're going into art, and like, you know, normally this would be a safe space where like you know, you could just, you know, create, and of course maybe you're thinking about it, but like maybe it's just in the background, right? But then now it's like in there, and then you get, and then like maybe the art is not going right, you know what I mean? And then that's where you're like, it's really hard, okay? And then that's where like it's like, you know, it becomes a grind, okay? You're like, it's like, you know, it's like when you think of grind, you think of like, you know, a blacksmith grinding on the stone, you know what I mean? And when you think of that, you think of friction, a lot of friction, a lot of you know, what was once so simple and easy is now has like a coarse tooth to it now, and now it's like and it's like it's grinding hard, it's grinding, and like you feel it grinding on you, and like you can feel every little vibration, and sometimes you want to just like step away, and you're like, okay, this is too much, like I can't do it, you know what I mean? And like, you know, but we do it anyway, right? We do it anyway, and that's where the grind comes in, okay? That's where it's like you know, and you feel so like almost like helpless to the grind, okay? But you know that it's part of the process, so you just keep going, and it's almost like a robotic thing where you're just like I just gotta get past this, I just gotta get past this. And you know what, dude? That's okay. That's honestly sometimes how you just get past that bad hump, okay? Because, you know, in like in life, you know, sometimes you just gotta like grit your teeth and just like, come on, just keep going, you know, just endure it, just keep moving forward, okay? One step at a time, okay? But it's hard, man. It's hard because the texture of the grind is very coarse, okay? Sometimes you'll hit a big roadblock on the journey, okay? Sometimes you'll face something that you never thought you had to deal with before, okay? And it came out of nowhere, boom, hits you hard, okay? And the question is, how do you deal with it when it's like that? How do you deal with it when you are hitting these obstacles, you're grinding really hard? Sometimes you'll grind and then you'll hit this huge obstacle, and then it's like it seems impossible too, right? And what I want you guys to see is that you have to change your perspective on it, okay? What you have to do is look at it differently, okay? The way I look at it, right, is like, and I've observed this through many of my pieces as I go on, right? Of course, there are those easy pieces that are like effortless and like oh, you know, it just flew, it just was like perfect flow, and you didn't have to think that hard, and it just came out right, you know what I mean? And those are beautiful, those are absolutely lovely, right? But those are the easy times. Those are the times when you feel like you're dancing, okay? When you feel elevated beyond, okay? And then the other times, the dark times, where you feel like you're in the mud, you're crawling like God, you know, and there's like lightning, you know, it's like the fucking Zuko scene, you know, where he's screaming at the fucking lightning, right? And those are the times, I've said this before, those are the times that will define you as a true artist, okay? That's all I gotta say. Like commitment without sacrifice is meaningless, okay? Commitment, and like to think that you are really committed without going through like a really like tough fucking time, you know, then it doesn't, like, then you're not really committed. You're just saying that, you know. You don't really know until you really, boom, you get rocked, okay? And those are the times where you gotta show that you're the champ, dude, okay? When a boxer is winning, okay, when they're having the greatest time of their life, okay, when they're just like absolutely destroying the guy, that's nice and all, but that doesn't prove that you're the champ, okay? What proves is when you're the champ is when you're bloodied, okay? When you're beaten and you're almost like unconscious, okay? And you're on the floor and you gotta get up and you gotta go another round, and somehow you find a way to push through and make it past just that round, okay? And like that's another thing. When you're in the throes of it, okay? When it's really hard, what you have to do is reduce the amount of steps that you look ahead, okay? Because when you look ahead too far, okay, when times are good, you can look farther ahead, and it's like you could see the path ahead of you, right? But sometimes the path is extremely difficult, and the best you could do is know your next move. Know your next move, your next move, your next step, inch by inch by inch by inch, okay? And like that's the whole point, that you, like, when things are hard, you lower the distance at which you're going, okay? Because you could go somewhere and it's the wrong way. It's a desperate path. It's a path that you didn't choose, right? So you got to feel your way through, okay? And that's another thing. You have to feel it out, okay? That's the hard part about art, that it's all based on feeling, okay? That you have this thing in your gut and you're like no, I just gotta push through. I feel it in my heart. I just gotta push through, right? And what you want to do is acknowledge that feeling, okay? Acknowledge, like, go past the pain, go past the grind, go past the exhaustion, and see that there is a pure heart within you. There's a pure heart that has not just a desire, but a purpose, okay? A purpose that you feel beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were put on this earth to do, okay? And remember that you have levels of shielding to protect that purpose, and the grind and all that stuff, it's there to go down a layer each time, right? Until you eventually reach the core, okay? And when you reach the core, that's when you know. That's when you know if the materials you're made with, if you're strong enough, if you have the real metal, okay, within you to do the thing, okay, to become what you were meant to be, okay? You know, of course, it's like having all this external pressure, right, into carbon that creates a diamond, okay? And when you know that your core is a diamond, that you know that those levels can break down, but it will never break down at the core of it, okay? And like that's like it, and you know what? It's not easy to be broken down to your core, okay? It's that like, you know, again, it's a grind. You're being grinded down to your core, okay? But at a certain point, you got to understand is that the diamond will never yield to sandpaper, okay? It will never yield to external forces, okay? Eventually, the thing that's grinding you down will break on the diamond, you know, like boom, and it hits that thing that is unbreakable, okay? And when you know you're unbreakable, that you know you could move forward, that you could slay the dragon, okay? That you can, like, you know, push beyond yourself and go beyond what you thought was possible, and really get to the thing that you want to get to, okay? So don't let the grind get you down, okay? And again, let's talk about perspective again, right? There are times where I go to the canvas and I'm upset, okay? Like, just bar none, I'm upset. There are things I'm thinking about that, like, just kind of like, oh, they just grind my gears, you know, they wear on me, you know what I mean? And there are times where I'm like, oh, maybe I won't grind so hard on the thing, you know what I mean, on the canvas so hard, right? But then life hits you, and then you're back there again, and you're like, oh, it's that grind again, you know what I mean? And you want to, like I said, you want to change your perspective, okay? Because so when it's external, then it's like it's different than what I'm talking about right now. So let's talk about the internal. Okay, when you have the internal grind, the it's not going, the piece is not going right. I'm not feeling that thing that that was so magical. It's not smooth, okay? It's not like I'm grinding against the piece itself, right? When you're feeling that, okay? On a practical level, sometimes it's better to maybe just step away for a little bit, you know? Not from the piece entirely, but like maybe for that session. Like oh, it's not working. It's like, okay, like let's just stop. I'm gonna mess it up more. I'm not in the right headset, okay? Or mindset rather. It's okay to step away, okay? But sometimes you just gotta push through. Sometimes you just gotta grind, like, oh, you know, and like you know, it's gonna hurt, you know, it's gonna hurt internally. But like there are pieces that I've done where it was, man, it was a grind. Okay, man, like, you know, the Batman piece, like that one was like I went through the trenches for that piece, okay? But then I came out on the other side and it was one of the best pieces I've ever made, okay? And how is that? Why is that? It's because sometimes that grind, that friction is actually you growing, okay? You're getting better. You've hit something that you need to get past, okay? And the only way to get past that is to learn and to become better, right? To find it within yourself, not just willpower wise, but skill wise and like, you know, learning wise, to push past something to a new level, okay? Because, you know, it's the part where you're shitty at something, but you don't know that you're shitty at it yet, you know? Or something where you're like, you're learning a new skill, or you're attempting something that you never attempted before, and you're like, oh, you know, you're like, it's like, it's fucking hard, you know? But those are the times, okay, when you're feeling that, not the external, but the internal grind when it comes to your art, okay? Those are the times that you gotta recognize. I'm growing. I'm doing something that I never did before. I'm doing something that is gonna make me better in the long haul, okay? And if you remember that, if you think like that, and you know what, dude, I forget sometimes. Even the best of us forget, okay? That the grind can create a situation where you feel like maybe like do I suck ass? Like do I not know how to fucking paint? Do I not know how to draw? Right? But that's not the case, okay? This is you hitting your ceiling and you're pushing it up. You're like, oh, you know, you're pushing up on that ceiling so that you go higher than you were before, that you can now reach newer heights than you did before, okay? And it's not easy, guys, okay? A lot of people, when they hit that wall, when they hit that ceiling, they just quit, man. They just like, I can't, it's impossible, I can't do it, you know? Sometimes there's external factors, right? And they're like, I can't do it, right? And sometimes you'll feel that way, okay? And all I gotta say is, if you feel that way, it's not bad. It's part of the natural process, okay? That you'll see something, you'll think it's impossible, and you're like I just gotta walk away, or like maybe this is not possible, okay? It's part of the hero's journey where you hit that doubt, you know, you hit the dip, right? And all I gotta say is, when you're in that situation, all you gotta do is come back again the next day, okay? And what do? We lower our steps, okay? When we hit that point where we're feeling like this thing is not gonna work, we're trying to look into the future. We're trying to see like where does this lead to the end of the piece, and we think that we already know that it's gonna end in failure, okay? But that's not true, okay? That is an illusion. That is self-doubt, okay? What you have to do, lower it, okay? And say like, I don't know the future. And be honest with that, and be like, listen, you don't really know, right? You think you may know, you may like, you know, you may overthink to the point where you think that you'll already know, right? But when it comes to art, nothing is set in stone, okay? So lower it, okay? Lower the steps that you are viewing, okay? To the point where all you can view is the next step and the next step, okay? And when you approach the piece again, just focus on like, okay, well, this is not where I want it to be. This is not, this thing I could fix, or like like for example, sometimes what I do is I look at for example, like this piece right here. I'll look at the sky, right, and I'll be like, well, that could be a little bit bluer, or like, oh, that could be a little bit lighter, oh, that could be a little bit darker, okay, and then you start from there, okay, and then you'll find yourself, okay, well, that looks a little bit better, right, and then you're like, okay, well, what's the next thing? Oh, this branch could be a little bit better, right, and I'm like, okay, well, I know how to fix that, boom, okay, this next thing, oh, well, I know how to fix that, boom, right, and then it just becomes, you get the momentum, and then you just, right, and like I've literally had this happen to me before, where at the beginning of the session, I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Do you don't know shit? You don't know what you're doing. You suck, dude. Like, you'll never make it, dude, right? And then by the end of the session, I'll be like, maybe you can't, like where did that come from? Maybe you can do it, okay? Oh, this journey, this is totally possible, right? And you'll feel good about yourself because you were able to push through it, okay? You were able to push through that grind, okay? And you'll notice in those moments when you're doing that, when you're like step by step, like what's the next thing, right? It won't feel so much like a grind. It won't feel so tedious anymore, okay? Because you're not looking at it from a longer point along in the timeline, that as if it's like set in stone when something's bad or something's going to be good. You know what I mean? So when you lower when you lower your steps and that timeline in your perspective, you'll allow yourself to just focus completely on the one task in front of you at hand, okay? And that's where you want to be, okay? Of course, it's not always that you're going to be there, okay? And understand that that's just normal. That's just, we try to predict things, like we as humans, we try to look ahead, we try to assume things, we try to know things that we don't know, okay? That's just a natural process of being alive, okay? But the thing is that in reality, you don't really know, okay? And that could be a negative thing in your mind, or that could be a positive thing in your mind, okay? You don't know negative, you don't know, it could end up horrible, right? Or you don't know, it could actually be fantastic, okay? But the I don't know is the singular point from where you stand, okay? And you could choose which path you want, and the path may change a day, but like, what you need to do is just go step by step, dude. Step by step. Change your perspective on the grind. Look at it differently, okay? Look at it like a practice, okay? You come out here, you do your thing, then you leave, okay? There's a book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Okay, really fantastic book for you guys to read. I really recommend you read that book. But it talks about the mindset of a professional, of someone who does this as a real thing, right? Is that you have a time you set to do the thing, right? You go out there, you do that thing without judgment, okay? You lay it down, right? You lay down what you lay down, right? And sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be bad, sometimes you make more progress, sometimes you make less progress, but you sit down and you do the thing, okay? And you just let yourself do the thing, okay? It's the action, right? This has nothing to do with what's in your head and, like, right? All this stuff, like, oh, is it working? Is it not? I grind, all that stuff, right? But the action instead, it is the you going to the canvas and painting, okay? You do it, you finish up, and then you go back to whatever you were doing before, okay? And that's how you can see that the grind is not the grind. What it is actually is a practice, okay? And when you practice, you become better. And when you of course, there's perfect practice, how you practice. That does, like I'm talking more about, like, practice on like a metaphysical level, right? Which is the practice, okay, the vocation, okay, and that's how you gotta look at it, man. You go out there and you're doing the practice, okay. You're doing the thing that that your vocation is beholden to, okay, which is the painter paints, the writer writes, the musician creates music, okay, the athlete plays the sport, okay, and what you need to do is stop judging yourself on the daily basis, okay. What you gotta stop doing is judging the piece of where it's at, okay. Of course you want to judge, you want to make judgment calls, but you want to do it from kind of like a abstracted view, you know what I mean, where like, you know, you're judging, like you're like, oh, this piece isn't where I like it, you know what I mean, as opposed to like this piece isn't working, why, you know what I mean, or like what could be better, you know what I mean. It's like, and you want to think of it objectively, right? And then by doing all this, by, you know, changing your perspective on all these little things, right, the grind becomes the practice, okay, and then practice becomes mastery, mastery becomes ascension, okay, and when you ascend, everything becomes clear and your purpose becomes fulfilled, okay. So it all starts with the grind, guys. It all starts with the you know, and then it becomes the practice, and then it becomes the means in which you can change something, you know what I mean, change within yourself, change the world, just a little bit, just the tiniest little microcosm, you know, bringing something beautiful into this world, okay. So change your perspective on the grind and you can reach the heights that you want to be, okay. And then you might look at it differently, and then you'll start enjoying the practice, okay. It'll feel like you're just doing your thing, yet you're dancing, okay. And like, again, know that it will come back, that feeling will come back, okay. It's come back for me, okay. There are days where I'm dancing, there's days where I'm grinding, okay. But I remember when one thing is happening that I have to look at it from the right perspective, okay. And then that's what will allow you to reach the heights that you want to, okay. I think we could end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed that video, hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Princeton Patreon. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member and join that Discord, okay. All that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.